Well, we're reminiscing about what could have been.
I mean, it is Blue Marsh.
You know, that's all we got.
Let's not get it twisted. Welcome everybody to another edition of Tackle Shop Live.
Sunny day, right there you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? The next day you
what's up, Carlisle?
You told me I'm your little buttercup.
Tim McSee, how you doing? Galen Heathcote.
Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down, knowing I am blue.
I don't know, Carlisle. Might be quicker than you think.
I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get
Chris Bettinger, how are you, buddy? Chris Miller. Dave Richardson, how are you guys? Breezy Flyers in the house. Larry Shope. Mike Hayer. What's up, man? Alan Kovac, how are you, buddy? Conway. My man. Tammy, how are you? Tammy, hope you're getting out fishing. Jim Saban, how are you doing? Jerry Otto's in the house. Mark Westner, I should say. Man, we got a full house tonight. So glad seeing everybody. Dean Resch is here. George Dufresne. David. I'm dying here. All right. I'm dying here, folks. I was eating a potato chip right before we started and went down the wrong hole. You know how that is. Everybody gets that. No, it's not just me. Can't make fun of me, Nick.
Well, he was so excited about talking fishing. He started talking before he swallowed.
I did. I started talking and then all hell broke loose. But I'm going to get through it. Kenny Clemmer's here. How you doing, Kenny? Good to see you, buddy. Mark, how are you from Lisa Lake? What's going on, buddy? Devin's here. Man, we got a good old house. Warren Guttrell's here. Well, George and I just returned. Just returned from South Jersey, Milford, Delaware, or New Jersey, Milford, New Jersey. We had a absolute ball down there. We went fishing with Greg DePalma today. We went down last night, had dinner, got up early, hit the lakes, and kind of goes into our topic tonight because it was tough. I mean, tough. But we caught some fish. I lost a real nice one, and we caught some other fish, and we learned a ton of stuff about forward facing with Greg. That kid, I shouldn't call him a kid. That guy is crazy good, man. Crazy good with that forward facing. It's unbelievable. And it's like he said, it was all about how much time he spent on it, screen time. And it goes back to what I said originally about forward facing. If you think you're going to buy this forward facing and it's going to change your total game like overnight, and and you think it's that easy, think again. It's definitely not. It's a very tricky. I mean, when they're biting, they're biting. Anybody can catch them, but most of the time when the fish are really stubborn and you really got to look for them and you really got to figure out how to catch them, live scope, you see them. It's very frustrating. You can't get them to bite. You're throwing out millions of fish. But I learned a lot today about how to get those fish to bite and which ones will bite. So that was a big lost piece in my puzzle of doing live scoping. So, but we really learned a lot from him. We had a great time on those lakes down there in South Jersey. We fished a couple of them. Beautiful lakes. I mean, they got, how about George? I mean, just awesome.
Oh yeah, they're small bodies of water, but they are mighty.
Can you really believe that shad he caught? He caught a gizzard shad. I mean, it was just like this, and it was a big giant ball of them, and it was just a little bitty lake, and it had great gizzard shad in it.
Well, one of the things that we talk about a lot on, we talk about gizzard shad lakes, gizzard shad reservoirs a lot because this region that we're in, and actually the vast majority of the country is heavy with the gizzard shad. And, a typical year, I think it's important to realize that for a couple of reasons, in a typical year, gizzard shad will spawn 2-3 times. And I've always found, I know you and I have always tried to, especially towards fall, I've always tried to key on the bigger gizzard shad, which would be the first spawn.
Yeah.
And those bigger fish tend to focus on the bigger, especially that doesn't hold so true in, a lake that doesn't have a lot of gizzard shad. But if you're in a lake or a reservoir that has a just ton of gizzard shad, you know what I'm talking about. Like you pull into a creek arm and your depth finder thinks it's 20 feet deep when it's 40 feet deep.
Yeah.
When you have shad like that, it's really important to find the biggest of the early spawn shad.
We did that today.
Yeah, and that's what you need to be around. You need to be,
and we caught fish off of it.
You need to be around those shad. Now, if you're on a body of water that doesn't have, a massive gizzard shad population, any gizzard shad are important.
Yeah, it was fun.
At that size class, that is so.
Yeah, it was fun.
And I don't think it's readily recognized. You think, man, look at all these shad. Man, there's millions of shad here. There's got to be all the fish in the lake here, and there are all those little bitty tiny shad from the last spawn. Meanwhile, all the big fish have adjusted their location to the shad that are 3 or 4 times that size.
Yeah.
And I just think it's that whole expend less energy for more gain thing.
Yeah.
But if your lake doesn't have that, any shad is gold.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I don't know if anybody knows, but this is Tackle Shop Live, and my name is Mike Acord, and this is George Acord, and behind the camera is cameraman Nick. We welcome all you guys for stopping in. We appreciate you guys every Thursday at 7 o'clock stopping here, hanging out with us for a couple hours and talking fishing. And we love breaking down things and talking technique and talking baits and talking tackle. It's what we do here at Tackle Shop Live. And if you don't think we enjoy it, I don't know, man. We just absolutely love it. We've been doing it for a couple of years now, and we just absolutely dig it. But I appreciate everybody stopping in. Jeff Bennett, thank you so much for the kind words there, buddy. Kirk Blackador, how you doing? Michael Bradley, Scott Weist, how you doing? Eric Albright, what's happening, Eric? I haven't seen you in a while. You need to come over and see us here at Susquehanna Fishing Tackle. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for stopping in. Jeff Reed's in the house. Scott Van Leer, Chris Mayer, Steve Klauser. What's up, brother? Michael Sims. Hey, Sims, we ain't telling you nothing what we found out today. We were fishing in your back door today, baby. Jacket on giants. Thanks for stopping, Mike. Appreciate you, pal. I just want to make an announcement because we're starting to get starting to get close. Things are starting to happen. But January is our Bassfest. And I think this year it's the 13th and 14th. Is that what it is, George?
Let me check on that for you. I didn't really write any of those dates down.
Yeah, I just kind of busted in this a little bit. I'm just going to announce a little bit. Bassfest this year, absolutely amazing. It's going to be awesome. And we have a lot of stuff that we're working on right now for it. And I know a lot of guys have come to Bassfest before, but what Bassfest is 2 days of hardcore bass talk. We talk about anything bass. We have a big tent out back. We do seminars for 2 days. You know, we do 4 or 5 seminars every single day. And George and I work on putting a great clientele together. We have a great clientele that we're working on. We're not going to announce anything yet, but I'm telling you, this year, you're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be our best show ever. We got some great stuff that we're working on. It's a lot of fun. It's great to meet everybody, to see everybody, to put a face to a name. We got lodging nearby. We can set you up on lodging if you want to stay for both days, if you're traveling a distance. And the reason I say that is because we get people 6 hours away, 7 hours away, 5 hours away. They all come into town. They hang out for a couple of days. There's some great restaurants around the area, so you can, you know, get some good food while you're here and hang out here in Lancaster County with us. We have a ball. So I just wanted to bring that up. I'm gonna talk about it from here on out, probably as everything develops. But it's like a mini show, but it's here at our store, and we have representatives that come in from all the different manufacturers, and they talk tackle with you. And we have great buys and great sales, and it's just a lot of fun. So, but this year, I promise you, once you start hearing what's going on around for this event, you're going to freak out. It's going to be an awesome year, probably our best ever year for Bassfest. All right, so let's get this show going. We like to start it off with a little section that we like to call Tackle Talk. Say 13th and 14th is correct?
12th and 13th.
12th and 13th. Okay. All right, George. This is our favorite section of the show. We love tackle. We opened a tackle shop. We love talking about tackle. Tell me some tackle dreams.
Well, you know, we got a few things to talk about tonight. We have the new Rapala Crush City in stock finally.
Oh, it's finally here. The bare spot on the wall has been filled, Nick. We've been waiting for this stuff forever. All of our customers have been. I'm so excited for it.
Crush City. So this is basically Rapala's foray into the soft plastics market. They tabbed their boy Jacob Wheeler to kind of put his face on the brand and design and, you know, all that good stuff. And I'll tell you what, you know, when a big giant mega company like Normark, who owns Rapala, who is like one of the undisputed kings of the hard bait world, decides to get into the soft plastics world, you know, you're like, well, you know, this might be a little touch and go, you know. You're going in against, you know, Zoom Bait Company and Strike King and Kai Tech and Z-Man and yada, yada, yada. Well, I'll tell you, we've been talking about it for a long time, but now the products are in stock. We've been fishing them literally since June. One of our pro staffers had a nice high finish this year on that he credited to one of their trailers. And so far, I mean, no, you know, not drinking the company Kool-Aid, but we are impressed.
Yeah, we fished the swim bait today, and the thing has a real nice kick to it.
I mean, like I said, we've been fishing these baits since June.
Yeah.
I mean, we had like 10 or 12 pieces, like not packs, pieces.
Yeah. We stole them out of our reps bags.
And we metered them out, you know, like We metered them out. One of our pro staff, a guy that does a lot of guiding for us, also a pretty hardcore tournament fisherman. He had a second place finish this summer, which he credited to the freeloader on the back of his chatterbait. And he's a bit of a tackle junkie, so I was really dialed into what he had to say. But anyways,
Yeah.
we have the cleanup crawl, which is basically their little crawl bait. Now, here it is on the back of a chatterbait. So you can kind of get a size profile. This is a chatterbait EVO. So you can kind of get an idea. You can see how the claws are coming out appropriately there. There's the bait itself. So you've got what I would call the little kickers on the claw. You know, the little little flap, the water catchers, the little kickers. Beautiful crawl, man. I mean, absolutely beautiful crawl.
It's the perfect size.
It's 3.5 inch. And I don't know. I just think that the durability, I mean, I literally had a sample up here since June, and literally today, one claw was torn off of it. And I mean, it's very durable. The body is got some nice meat where the keepers are on your trailers. You can flip this. You can chatterbait this. You can, anything you do a crawl with. I like to put one on a swim jig a lot. It's a great swim jig trailer. Great chatterbait trailer. I mean, great colors. So you're going to hear that over this whole Crush City thing. Great colors. These colors are definitely right. So many times we get awesome plastic entries from companies and they miss the colors. It happens a lot with Japanese bait companies. They miss the colors. I mean, that is a green pumpkin watermelon laminate. And I'm telling you, that is a green pumpkin watermelon laminate.
It's perfect.
So that is the cleanup crawl. I got some notes here because there's so many names I can't really remember everything. $6.99 a bag. Okay. So you're gonna get like 6-7 baits in a bag for $6.99. Certainly not out of line with good craws. I mean, Shape 108 from Pure Fishing is $6.99. Rage craws are in the $6 range. I mean, certainly not out of line, especially for a premium quality bait. These baits are also scented. I'm not sure what the scent is called, but it's definitely got a unique, like, almost reminds me a little bit of like an anise-based scent, but not really. So far, so good. Bronco bug. And not for nothing. I mean, a lot of plastic shapes are
Copies.
duplicates.
Copies. Nothing original.
It's just the way it is. A lot of them are.
That's the way it is.
A lot of them are new take on an existing shape. I mean, how many different ways can you make a crawl?
Right.
But it's quality. This is a little more unique. Now, it's definitely been out there. You'll see this in some of your Japanese plastics. This is called the Bronco bug. So it's kind of a hinged. The appendages are kind of hinged. It might remind some of you savvy anglers of another bait that's on the market. Great flipping bait. Okay. This is actually one of the baits that we did not have a sample of. We have not fished this
Right.
bait. We did not. We
Right.
were not able to procure
Yeah.
the sample of this. So great flipping bait. Other brands on the market, JDM brands, have proven this shape to be very effective. Great colors. There's like 10, 12 different colors. I mean, this right here is called black and blue, in case you can't guess. You know, it's got that sapphire blue belly and that black back. You know, it's just a classic flipping color. Take it from me, if you're going to the Potomac River at any time next year, get some of this color in this bait. You'll be very happy that you did.
That's right, JP.
Now, the cleanup cross, $6.99 a bag. The Bronco bug is $6.99 a bag. Okay, so you're going to be in that range, $5.99 to $6.99. The next bait I want to talk to you about here is called the freeloader, and again, this is a trend. And plastics companies have trends, right? And you'll see the more proactive companies get on a trend. So this style of trailer, this was made primarily as a chatterbait swim jig trailer, although it also makes for a nice finesse swim bait. And there's other companies out there that are on this trend right now, and it's called the freeloader. You can fish it spinnerbait trailer, swim jig trailer, chatterbait trailer is what it's really great for. Swim head, that's a core tackle tush head on there, kind of badass. The freeloader, $6.49 a bag. Okay, all kinds of cool colors. This one's called Blue Pearl Hologram. Twitch it like a fluke.
Yeah.
All those good things. Okay. $6.49 a bag. And there's 6 in there. Freeloader. Then you have the mare. A lot of places have like a lot of fishing groups have mares. Like we have a mare. Mm-hmm. We have a mare that's involved here with SFT, and he's an important guy. That's why we call him the mare. Our mare is a legend in the guide industry on the Susquehanna River. He's the mare. Well, this swim bait is going to be a legend in bootfoot swim baits, so they called it the mare. And I feel rightfully so. This is an awesome swim bait. So you have a 3-inch mare and a 4-inch mare. Awesome colors. Good durability. $6.49, $6.99.
Yeah.
Okay. Comes in a clam pack, so you're not going to get kinked up tails. They locked in there. See? They're not going anywhere. They're not going to get like folded over. 8 on the 3-inch and 6 on the 4-inch. Again, chatterbait trailers, swim jig trailers, put it on a ball head, put it on an A-rig. I mean, I could go on and on. $6.99 for the 4-inch, $6.49 for 3-inch. And then the last one we're going to talk about is called the Ned BLT. Here we have it on a little BKK round head. This one is TPE. All the other ones are traditional, plastisol based. This is TPE. So this has there's another very popular Ned bait that has this type of material. One of the cool things about this material is it's buoyant. So this thing will stand on the bottom. Okay, this has a texture to it. It's a little more tapered. There's a full range of colors.
Yeah, nice colors.
Look at that one there. Watermelon, green pumpkin, laminate. Got some nice laminate colors. They have a lot of the colors of the other popular Ned brand. And they are $5.99 a pack. and there is 10 in a pack. So keeping in line. We're pretty happy with it. We went pretty big on it. I think we're stocking basically everything they make. Might be a couple colors we skipped on. But I would say, 98, 99%. And yeah. Crush City.
Yeah, we fished Crush City today a good bit. It's nice stuff. It's durable. I can tell you that. You rig it up with a jig head, and you it's tearing through all your stuff on most plastics. This kind of absorbed it pretty good and doesn't pull off your keepers real easy. But, big thing about it is how does it run? So that the shad one, the Mayor, I fished that in a 4-inch and a 3.5-inch in the last 2 weeks, and it has a real nice kick. And they're different than a lot of stuff because it's more squared off and flat sided. So it does have a very kind of unique kind of swim to it. Different than a Kitech, different than some of the ones that you see out there, the boot foot style swim baits. It does have a little bit of a kick to it. Very nice action to it. The other one I fished today was the what do they call that? The Freelancer, and I fished that on a jig head for forward facing, kind of fishing it right over top the heads of the fish. Real easy to see on forward facing, picks it up really nice. And I think it's a nice size. It was exactly the same size as that shad we snagged, so that's why I put it on. But cool stuff, cool baits. Long awaited. I mean, everybody was waiting on them and asking about them. They are here. There's only a couple of colors that are out of stock that they didn't ship, but they're I'm sure we'll get them here any day. Check them out online. They're all ready to go. SFTtackle.com. You'll see them and look at all the cool colors and pick up some.
Yeah, so there you go. Thanks to Matt, one of our web guys, for doing a great job building some pages for us today, getting us ready for the show. It's going to get cold. I know it was 74 degrees today, but it's not going to be 74 degrees tomorrow, and it's not going to be 74 degrees this weekend. And I'm pretty fair bet it's going to get a lot colder than 74 degrees for the next couple months.
Can you believe that? November 5th, 74 degrees.
Yeah, that's nothing. It's going to come back again.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, when it's cold, like in the mornings and in the evenings, I talked about this last year, and I'm going to talk about it this year because it's cold. This pair of gloves right here, I am here to tell you, straight up, I've been wearing these things for a couple years now. I still have my original pair. I have a tiny little tear in it. That's all so far. I'm not a big glove guy. I can't stand fishing with them on. If I have to fish with them on when it's in the 20s and the 30s or in the 40s with a lot of wind, these are badass. They're called AFCO helm gloves. They're $28.99 a pair. They wear great. They have they shed water. They have a index finger that allows you to do your phone or your touchscreen graph, so you don't have to take your gloves off. They have a little grip on them. They're thin. They have a little wind stopper. They're awesome. If you need some gloves, if you fish in the winter, if you're not happy with your gloves, this is one guy that's been wearing them for a couple years now. I'm telling you straight up, they're some of the best I've ever found. I don't like the fingerless gloves. I mean, a lot of you do, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's some great wool options that we carry from Sims and what have you. I want if I have to wear gloves, I want my hands covered. I don't want like my hands and just let my fingertips freeze. This right here, I made a note last week to bring these up on a cold day. So there you go. AFCO Helm gloves.
Greatest gloves I ever wore.
Come in two sizes.
Yep.
They come in a large and an extra large. This is the extra large here, and I wear that. Fits really good. You know what they say, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. Look at that. You got a nice fit. No OJ, you know.
What's nice about it is it is nice and tight, but it's you know, it's very expandable around your fingers, and it has grippies all over it too.
I
So
like them.
when you're holding on to your rod, it grips, everything grips nice.
I like them. Next little note of business, just to bring it up. The Cull Shads are back in stock. We've had some 8s in stock. You know, obviously that's not the hottest selling size. These sold out like in a minute. We got a bunch of these back in stock now. So Cull Shads are back in stock, $11.99, $14.99. You know, we did a piece on these earlier. They have a really cool hook keeper in the belly. So your free swinging treble hook does not free swing, but it has a clip that it clips into that it releases from. The first round had some good success stories. Back in stock. Bunch of colors, great price. Back in stock, power bait, yada, yada, yada. And last but not least, the last item we're going to talk about tonight is very expensive. It would cost much, much more than anything that you'll have spent your money on. It's $3,699.99. We got a couple Ultrex Quest trolling motors in that we've been waiting on since we got a chance to fish with one back in April.
Yeah.
We got a chance to fish one back in April. We've been waiting for some Quest trolling motors, and I believe over the course of the next couple months, they will continue to trickle in. We're not a big electronics dealer, but we like to keep a little bit of this, a little bit of that on stock. Mostly the stuff that we really use ourselves and really can focus in on. They're 90 or 115-pound thrust. All the same motor.
Whoa. What are you talking about?
So there's only one model. So the Quest is a brushless Ultrex Quest. It comes in either 24 or 36. So the same motor does 24 volt or 36 volt. If you put it on 2 batteries, it's 24 volt. If you put it on 3 batteries, it's 36 volt. If it's on 24 volt, it's 90 pound of thrust. If it's on 36 volt, it's 115 pounds of thrust. 45-inch shaft is what we're stocking. Okay. As always, we can order the other options for you. Standard 2D sonar model is what we stock. However, we can order mega down, mega side. $3,699. It's like a Band-Aid. If you say it real fast, $36,999, it doesn't hurt as much.
I don't think it's that bad.
I will tell you this.
Not for that motor.
It is absolutely silent. Mike and I fished one for 2 days. We actually fished like a
prototype.
Yeah. Ours wasn't even, I mean, the software was 0.0.
Yeah. It wasn't like there was things about it that didn't do well, but
the only thing that didn't do well was spot lock because it didn't have the proper software downloaded. Like it might spot lock where you wanted it to for a minute, and then it might go rev up to 115 pounds of thrust and take a hard left. Well, I just called that. That was exciting.
Yeah.
But super quiet, super powerful, super fast. I'll tell you, this might be something stupid, but when you pull it up, it aligns itself for the cradle.
Right.
Now,
When you put it in, what's it do?
what's curious to me about that, and I'm going to have to get an answer on this, like when I put my forward-seeking sonar transducer on my motor, I like it like with the prop out. I guess they would call that a port orientation. I wonder when you pull the cord up if you can like choose. I'm sure you can.
So I don't know how that one works, but mine, you have to have it to one side or the other slightly.
Oh,
And
before
then
you pull it
and then
up.
it pulls up, it goes where you want it
Okay,
to.
that's probably how it is.
But if you had it tilted the other way slightly, it would go the other
well,
way.
and you
The wrong
know, the
way.
boat we ran was a Hummingbird boat / Minn Kota boat, and it had Mega Live, but that was on their turret, their
Yeah, the power turret.
their live tracker turret. Well, I don't know what to call the damn thing. It was on that, so it wasn't on trolling motor shaft. But when you pull that cord and you coming up out of the water, it lays up for the cradle. When you drop it back in the water, it centers, so it's pointing forward. So what I liked about that was if this bad boy is cranked up to 10 and it's pointing right or left and you hit the button and you're not really paying attention for whatever dumbass reason, you're going somewhere. Probably not where you want to go. Because it's got some juice, man. So I would say save up your lunch money. Hawk your watch, sell your some of your possessions, and pedal yourself on down here to the shop and get a Quest and put it on your boat. Okay, enough said. So that's the story there. That's what we're talking about on Tackle Shop Live tonight. And I hope you all enjoyed that. Didn't mean to be so long-winded, but what can I say? It's our show and I can.
David, yes, we have shad colored baits, curly tails for smallmouth. We can cover you with that, no problem at all.
We will have to narrow that down for you though, because there's only 11,500 options.
Daryl Esterly's in the house. Neil Miro, how are you doing? James Hook. I'm glad you love those gloves. I love mine too.
They're killer.
They are fantastic. And it seems like, I don't like gloves, period, but it seems like that's the only one of the only ones I can wear because you're feeling everything, Nick. You feel everything.
Oh, I love those gloves.
Yeah.
And I love them. When you spend money for anything, you're hoping that you can use it. And
Yeah.
I use those gloves going to soccer games and all kinds of stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I had about 2 weeks ago, it was quite chilly. And was fishing. And it was the first time of the year I thought where are my gloves? Where are my gloves? So I found one. That's never a good sign. And sure enough, the other one was still in my cold weather bibs side pocket. So that was a score for me. Now I'm going to change up for this year. My glove organization is going to include a pair in each boat. So
good idea.
If they're in the boat, you should have your gloves, right?
Yeah, right. Until you take them off, stick them in your pocket, and then the rain gear.
Now I'm making those changes in my life.
Yeah,
I got 2 pair right in my middle console.
They stay there.
That's where they stay. But one thing I got to say, I really like.
You haven't used them yet this year, though. So
no, I have.
You have?
Oh yeah, I have, and my kid did too.
And you took them off, and they went right back in that pocket.
Right back in. Oh yeah, unless they're wet, then I have to let them dry out. But I put them right back because I want to know. But those fingertips work better than anything I've ever seen.
They do.
Because on your phone, on your graph, there's no oh, it didn't work. It works.
It does work. And, one of the things that I liked about this pair of gloves when they first were presented was that, and not for my phone, But for my graph, now that we have touchscreen graphs, I'm thinking, wait a minute, I have to take my glove off just to. No.
Yeah.
No. But I will say this: if you fish a lot, and I'm just going to let you know, 1 pair's great, 2 pairs necessary. If you're a cold weather winter fisherman, what happens is in the winter when it's real cold, once you start landing some fish, one of those pairs is going to get wet. Eventually, it's going to work through that. They kind of shed water, but eventually it's going to get matted through there, and then you're going to have to throw them in the hatch and grab another pair. So,
yeah,
just saying.
Happens.
After you buy your Quest, get yourself a second pair of gloves and a Bronco bug.
Well, if you're looking for a trolling motor, there's options. There's the Garmin, there's the Lowrance, and there's Minn Kota. And I'm telling you, this thing, if it's how much we all love our Ultrexes. We all love our Ultrexes. It's the Ultrex, but totally silent. It's amazing.
Well, you're right. There's Garmin makes a fine trolling motor.
Yeah.
Lowrance makes a fine trolling motor.
Yeah.
But depending on where you live is going to have a great bearing on which trolling motor you buy. And what I mean by that is, where are you going to get your trolling motor fixed? So, I mean, little things like when the Ultrex first came out, there was a little glitch with a circuit board in the foot pedal. Okay. And that circuit board translated the electric steer pedal to the cable steer motor. So you got that real-time cable feel with an electric pedal. Well, there was a glitch with that, okay? They had an issue, and that first generation, your pedal would have a problem every now and again. If your pedal started getting hard, like on a left turn, it turned easy to the right, but it turned hard to the left. Bad news was by the next couple hours, it wasn't going to work at all. Now, the good news was your remote would still operate your trolling motor so you could get through the day. But on your ride home, the realization settled in, where am I going to get my motor fixed under warranty? Okay, well, what you're not going to do is box it up and ship it somewhere. Okay, that's not going to happen.
No.
So you need to think about when you're shopping for a trolling motor. I feel like a strong consideration should be on where can I go get my motor serviced. And where we live, we have up the road a little piece, Lakeside Marine, who's a really good Minn Kota warranty center. And they have great service, and we can take our motors up there and get them fixed. So for us, we kind of gravitate towards that brand. Now, it just so happens to work out that that's the brand we ran forever anyways. But, if you live in an area where there's, a Lowrance service center or a Garmin service center, some of them do them all. Then, you got it made. You can just take your pick of trolling motors and live a good life.
Yeah.
So, give that a little consideration on the old trolling motor consideration factor. Because that can that could be a problem. So, guys, today we fished a few small reservoirs in southern New Jersey with our friend Greg DePalma, SFT pro staffer, Elite Series angler. Always a treat to fish with Greg. Always a highly anticipated day on the water. And you know what?
Always learn a ton of stuff from him. And
we did. But you know what? Today was tough. And I mean tough. And one of the things that I've learned, be it smallmouth river fishing or tidal water fishing, although I would say that's the least affected, or different reservoirs and lakes. I would say reservoirs and tidal water fisheries are probably the least likely to be affected. Is when you have this transition from late fall to winter, you're going to get a little cold snap. Couple 3-4 days, your water temperature is going to drop 10 degrees. And then you're going to get a beautiful weather pattern like we had this week. I mean, what a week we had so far. 70 something degrees every day. Beautiful. A little bit of wind. Water temperature jumps up 10 degrees. And that is a problem because your fish start getting into a late fall frame of mind where they are very, very locked in on schools of bait. And where the school of bait goes, they go. Well, when that happens, all the schools of everything breaks up. And, you get a challenging day. So, you have to have a tough bite day game plan. And there's so many factors that come into play here. For example, somewhere on the lake you're on, there's a bite. Or some color or technique, or this is when the minute details become important. They're not biting. How do you make them bite? You can just carpet bomb the lake for hours on end and, dumb into a few here and there. And that's better than nothing. Or you can just keep systematically breaking down what's going on. If you can find bait, like a concentration of bait, then you've narrowed down a big part of the puzzle. Remember where that is. Go through your rotation. And what I mean by rotation, I mean power to finesse. For example, maybe I find that bait and I roll a rig or a glide bait through it. That's kind of power. And then I go down in aggression to maybe jerk bait or a swim bait like the mare on a jig head and swim it through them. That's a little more subtle. Or maybe I fish a tight wobbling, flat-sided, subtle crankbait through them. Or I go to my ultimate low-key approach, which would be like a drop shot, finesse plastic on a jig head that I'm just hovering. Today I was fishing a hover rig a lot. Same thing. Different look. So all day long today, I'm thinking about this, and years ago, we did a video that we posted that's probably still out there somewhere, and it just went nuts. I mean, it was just one of them days where, it was freezing cold, early winter, late fall, just exactly like we had. And a nice warming trend coming. That day started cold, but ended kind of warm. And we, the opposite happened. We found them and they bit. And they bit really, really good.
Yeah, but that's different though.
That's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah. Well, if the thing
That's what I was trying to get to.
Okay, go ahead then.
So that same progression worked there, as in fired them up on the most aggressive, refired them on the medium aggressive, and then refired them on the least aggressive. So that same dynamic there that I'm talking about, that same approach works in both of those scenarios. Worst case scenario, best case scenario. So it kind of ties into the tough bite.
I mean, cold water is different than cool water. Okay? and we're not into that winter bite, because that what you were talking about was a real cold bite, and then you had a warming trend.
Yeah, it was like 47-degree water.
Yeah, but we talk about that all the time. You know, being that once it hits a certain level of gets cold to a certain level, and then you have that 3-day trend. I guarantee you that second and third day trend is going to be something magical for you.
But that progression,
yeah, but you had today, for instance, today, they had cold weather a few days ago, and on Sunday on Friday they had a warming trend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it warmed back up, and as it was warming up, they caught the hell out of fish. But then it stabilized and it kept warming. It kept warming. It kept warming. It kept getting better and better and better. And the fish got really difficult to catch. And I fished a tournament on Sunday last week. And then I fished again today on a Thursday. So that was warming the whole time. And it was extremely difficult to catch fish because the fish just kind of shut down. They just kind of slow down. They shut down. And they get confused. They scatter, like George said, they scatter. So the frustration kicks in, and that's kind of what we wanted to talk about, was the frustration that we run into this time of year, where on Sunday we whacked the hell out of them, and then the weather kept warming and warming and warming, and we anticipated a really great bite, but it got too warm. Does that make any sense? I mean, it actually got too warm for those fish, and that's what we were fighting. We were fighting crazy conditions that you don't normally have, and the fish just scatter, and they don't know what the hell to do. They're looking forward. They're kind of trying to lock into something, and then the bait kind of moves all around and gets all weird. So I guess the point is that you're going to have a frustration level this time of year if you get these crazy conditions. I mean, November the 5th, whatever it is today, November the 9th, and it was 74 degrees outside. And you just don't get that. You don't get that normally. You always get that cold drop. It keeps dropping a little bit. It keeps going down. It keeps dropping off. It keeps going down. And then you get, those fish are gathering up and gathering up and gathering up. And it's just funny that way, that when you get these crazy days where, oh man, it's going to be so great out there, and it's almost too nice. How many times you said that? It's too nice to go fishing. I know I don't say that too much, but this time of year, man, today was too nice. Sunday when I was out, it was too nice. The fish were just not locked into anything. They were scattered. They weren't locked into anything. They pick off a bait fish here and there to keep themselves going. And you had to work for your bites. Now, is that a bad thing? I don't think it's a bad thing. Do you, George?
No, one of the things that Mike and I try to do, and, maybe it's not the best every time out, but like a day like today and a lot of days that we fish that are like today, we try to recognize that early and make a decision that, hey, today's not our day.
It's a tough day.
Today's not our day.
It's
one of those we're going to catch our fish.
Yeah.
But we're going to go to plan B, and it's a time to shine with finesse.
Well, you said something earlier before we started the show. You said something to me like when it's tough out and you have to realize it, and don't set your expectations up to to something crazy, and dial in the fact that you're going to get 5, 6, 7 bites for the day. And that's okay. But you have to realize that, early in the day. Otherwise you get really frustrated and you miss the bite. You know what I'm saying? You missed that bite. And Sunday, I didn't realize it, and I missed the bite. And today we figured it out right away that with Greg, he was like, they're just not biting. We got to really knock them right on the head. And it was precision, everything. And although we didn't catch what we wanted to catch, we caught the fish we could catch because we just kept our head down, didn't get negative, didn't bail off the water early, didn't do this. They just kind of kept our head down and just worked the conditions and worked through the progression of baits until we could catch them. And that's really critical for when you get these tough bites and these tough situations. And that's what I want to talk about today, because you can lose your mind on, man, they were so ganged up here, last weekend on Sunday. And now this weekend, I don't even know what's going on, and you start looking for what you caught last weekend. Well, it's a different day. And you have to realize that when you get these warming trends like that, they're not always good when the water's already warm. And by that, I mean, it's above 50 degrees. We fished 50, 54, 55 degrees today. And those fish they were like, hey, I'm good. I'm not eating today. I'm good, bro. I don't need that hamburger. I don't need that shad sandwich today. I'm good. And you just had to find the one out of how many, George, that we threw at.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's all about just adjusting my expectations.
Yeah, that's my point.
I get into my finesse mode, and I'm like, okay, I have a game plan for this. I will rely now, heavily, but I will rely very heavily on a smaller, boot foot swim bait, no bigger than that, on either a ball head or a little belly weight like this, that I can slowly work above the heads of the fish, not below them, above them, or very close to them. I'm going to have, the Ned rig. I mean,
that pains you, doesn't it, George?
Well, I'm a winder, baby, not a grinder. So I like to throw bombs at them and pluck them that way. But at the same token, as a really, like, when you're out there to catch the fish, you got to make the call.
I like what Barry says here. When in doubt, net it out.
Yeah. When it happens that way,
yeah.
So I'm going to rely on that boot foot. I'm going to rely on that Ned rig. I'm going to rely on the drop shot, which I think is timeless for, I don't care what the water temperature is. And today we did a lot of, which is kind of new for me, like real small jig head, finesse straight tail bait, or what, now is a lot of people are calling a hover rig, which is great. Because with the spinning rod and the sonar, you can keep the bait above the fish with that little twitch. And I mean, when it's tough like this, a lot of the fish will get all over it. They won't eat it. But through numbers comes success. And you just keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. And, there's little periods of the day where you catch 3 fish real quick, right? So there's a little something there to fire up a little group of them, and bang, 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 bam. And that's what Mike and I were talking about before the show. In tough day fishing, adjust your expectations and keep them real. If you have like unreal expectations, you're going to make bad decisions because you're coming from a negative frame of mind. If you're fishing with somebody else, that's not going to go well. If you're fishing with a guide, you're not going to think a lot of your guide. And it's all, you're wrong. It's a bad day. It's a tough day. What led to it? Well, the weather led to it. As we said earlier,
It's too nice.
We got the cold. Everybody schooled up. Everything got good. Fall was progressing. All right.
We're going the opposite direction.
It's warm again. Oh, wait a minute. It's going now.
Yeah.
So
Roberto,
adjust your
yeah.
expectations.
Roberto, you're exactly right. And that's where, to save your sanity, when you're a weekend warrior, like most of us are, where we have to work a job all week long and it's getting, dark super early, and we don't have time to get out. So we're fishing, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday or Sunday. Then we got 7 days in between our trip again, or 5 days between our trip again. Everything is changing. So it's very important that you adjust your expectations, right off.
Well, and another thing is a lot of times you're not fishing this kind of tackle. So have it prepped up, have it ready, have it in a spot in your boat where you can go get it, because you're probably not fishing it a lot.
Yeah.
Have access to it and get on it.
Yeah.
I totally take advantage of your time.
I totally agree. But first thing this morning when we were out fishing, we backed the boat off the trailer, we turned around, and George threw out a big giant glide bait. And the first cast, he glided it 2 or 3 pulls and bam, catches one. I mean, 2 or 3 first cast of the day. And right away we're like, and our expectation for the day was Sunday, we whacked them, is what Greg was saying. Sunday, we whacked the hell out of them. And this is only Thursday. So I'm expecting big stuff happening. And George caught that fish right off the bat. So our expectation was really high. We were like, okay,
it's going to be lights out.
Yeah. We didn't even get to the spot yet. We didn't even get to where we wanted to go. And it took us a little bit. We went to where we wanted to go. And all of a sudden we started realizing, man, the bait isn't right. Oh man, the fish are, where the fish? We're looking for the fish. We can't see a fish. We can't see hardly anything. We're making cast after cast. We're moving around. And all of a sudden, that's when the point came. Our expectation had to come to, all right, this is going to be a grinder. And you know what? We had a much funner time with that idea. And that's what I'm saying, Roberto. That 5 days, get on the water, expect a lot, but then adjust your expectations right away. And then you'll be able to grind them out, and you'll be able to say, okay, this is the kind of day we're going to have. And really the only reason we're saying this because I had 2 tough freaking days in the last week, man.
But you know what though? Grinders can be the days where you learn the most.
You learn a lot.
I learned so much in these last 2 trips out because, we adjusted and we were like, okay, well, and it was a great day. It was a freaking great day. It was one of the greater days that we had. Even though we didn't catch 100 fish like we a lot of times do this time of year, we didn't catch them. But it was one of my most exceptional days on the water today because I learned a ton about something that I didn't really know a lot about.
I think when you come to that realization of this is my expectation now, as far as the learning aspect, again, now you're positive, you're realizing, I'd like to catch 5 fish today. Like my new goal is to catch 5 keeper fish. Well, because one of the things to me in my fishing life, I always every day I want to catch a limit. Coming from a tournament world, every day I want to catch a limit, right? So, I'm in a tough situation. I want to catch 5 fish today. So that opens me up to that learning factor. That opens me up to,
not being afraid to try something.
Yeah. Now, there is one other side to this, guys, and you saw me do this a lot today. The other side is, hey, it's going to be a tough day today. I'm going to catch 1, and I'm going to catch the big boy. And I spent at least half of my day slinging a trio of glide baits and a mag draft. I threw 3 different glide baits that offered 3 different from a tighter to a wider with a bigger kick to a mag draft.
Yeah.
Like on every drop I could find, on every flat I could find, around all the bait I could find. Thought process, again, positive. I'm getting one bite. In the next 7 hours, I'm getting one bite. But it's going to be like a mega dog,
It's hard to do that.
But if you set yourself up for it, and if it happens, again,
it is
win-win. So, there is that aspect of it, right? There is that aspect of it. Other things that can happen for you when you have days like this time of the year, this season, it's a lot like going back in time to September. And, we talked about the finesse angle. We talked about the big bait angle. Another angle that you can revert to in your quest to catch 5 on a tough bite is get up on the bank. Because your fish are scattered here and there. Get up on the bank and cover an amazing amount of water and fish what is presented to you. And think a little outside of the box, Just because the calendar says one thing doesn't mean things like a buzzbait won't play. Doesn't mean things like a chatterbait won't play. Now you're taking option 3 here.
Spinnerbait.
We have 3 curtains. We have the finesse curtain. We have the big bait curtain. Now we have option 3, which is I'll take option 3 there, Merv, and you're going up on the bank, and I'm going to put the trolling motor down. I'm going to flip every tree. I'm going to pitch to every clump of grass. If there's a pad stalk there, I'm going to hit it. I'm going to throw my spinnerbait. I'm going to throw my chatterbait. I'm going to throw my buzzbait. I'm going to flip my jig. And again, the volume of water that I'm able to cover
and the expectation
brings me there.
See, I'm glad you brought that up, George, because from my experience, when it gets like that, there's 2 options. And now there's 3 because of what you guys found out today. Mm-hmm. But first option is slow down and finesse. And it's tough for me.
Yeah.
I'm like you, George. It's tough.
But
the option I'm
cool with that.
I'm cool with it too. But the option I usually choose is to hit as many high percentage areas. So then that fits my style because I like to run and gun.
Yeah.
But you got to know where those high percentage areas are.
Right.
So if you know your lake real well, or you know your river real well, that could be something for you.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you might really want to focus in on that finesse technique. If you know there's fish here, I just got to get on the bite.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that I think you guys did is cool today that kind of goes with the way I like to fish with the run and gun style is you presented your bait to enough fish today, which is basically the same thing.
It is.
You're kind of running and gunning and boom, that fish.
Yeah.
Okay, that fish.
Yeah.
Same deal.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's exactly what we said. We said, we could go to the bank and we could do the bank thing, or we could, go out here and hit as many fish as we can and get pick off the ones that are aggressive. And we ended up catching, I don't know, all day today, probably 14 or 15 fish that were the aggressive fish, and I had a good day and learned a ton, and lost a couple of nice fish.
I do have a question for you. Those aggressive fish, did they tend to all be the same size or not?
No.
That's interesting because usually they are.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
Today, most of them were.
Yeah.
Most of them were the same size. And, we banged a nice one here and a nicer one there. But it was unique that it was neat to see how the fish reacted on a day like today and a day like Sunday. It was really unique to see how they reacted to the baits.
I can tell you this much. There was 30 rods on the deck by the end of the day.
I seen a picture. And I'm like, there's a lot of rods on that deck.
There was 30.
And that what they count the ones that were on the back deck.
Well, I blame it on George though.
Yeah.
I brought a lot.
You know why? Because he caught one on the first cast.
Yeah,
and that
exactly.
It's all downhill from
That's
there.
not usually the best situation.
Yeah.
So
So
usually the best situation.
we we just threw and we grinded and we caught and we didn't catch, and then we caught and we didn't catch, and but it really amazed me how these fish react to a bait when you drop it on it, and it's a fish that is just not into feeding. It's not it's one of those days where, first of all, to find them was tricky, and secondly, when you did find one, you threw it on him and he went the other direction. It was just unbelievable to see that.
Well, I'm picking up what you're putting down, and it's in the evolution of learning forward-facing sonar, the being able to tell the mood of the fish is a real thing. So, now with forward-facing sonar, we also, on a tough day, can determine a lot about how tough it is by how the fish react to our bait. Because you're looking at fish, which, by the way, are hard to see because they're not active. They're on the bottom. So you're like, oh, I think that's a fish. Yeah, that's a fish.
Mm-hmm.
And then making like this surgical cast because the bait has to literally fall on their head, and then manipulating your bait to keep it right like here, right? And moving. And when they come after it, to try to take it away from them. And, 40 out of 41 give up. That's when you're in for a tough day. Now, before we had this tool, we just figured it was a tough day for all the other reasons. Now we have another reason to tell us it's a tough day and help us even make decisions better. Bait adjustments, color adjustments, size adjustments, the weight of the bait, the rate of fall, the size of your line, swimming a swim bait on heavy line to keep it up. And it's all real now.
It's crazy. So you guys were throwing that precision of that cast is incredible. Right?
Surgical is the word.
But the funny thing is, if those fish that you've seen were, let's say they want to bite, they want to eat, literally your bait will hit the water and they'll be going for it.
Oh, it's game on.
It's like,
I haven't seen that.
Oh,
if you have
that's
to
real.
like,
Yeah.
It don't
really,
matter if they're 20 feet deep,
yes,
or 10 feet deep. It don't matter.
Yeah.
and if you have to like really mess with them to get them to bite, they're not going to bite.
No.
Well, we haven't had those days. We had the opposite of those days for the last 2 times I was out, and it was just
Well, yeah,
staggering.
you did. You had 2 toughies.
It's staggering to me what you can learn on a super tough day. It just really is. You actually learn more on a super tough day than you do a easy day. Easy day, the fish are aggressive. They want to eat. You throw anywhere near them, they get it.
And you might dial in something about one presentation.
So I'm hoping that the 2 days I had, Nick, and how like I was trying to do something and get something going, I'm hoping now that when I do get into some better situations, that I can really clean them up. I can really wipe them out because I have that patience,
Well, the thing is though, Mike, I mean, even though you had 2 tough days, I mean, you were right there.
Yeah.
Like it was,
yeah.
I mean, you had
Yeah.
some bites.
Yeah, I know.
And it's pretty cool because like what you were telling me about
Yeah.
your tournament experience,
Yeah.
man, you were not far off.
I was not, and I was proud of myself at the end of the day when I found out what was going on, that I did kind of start to figure it out, on a lake that I haven't been on in 20 years, so, that was rewarding to me that I did make some good calls, and, I did fish where the fish were, and I found those fish, and I just couldn't get a bite, or they just didn't want to eat, the way they should have. And today I honestly felt like, I felt like I learned a lot more today because I wasn't catching fish than I would have learned if I went down there and just, when you're catching them, you're not paying attention to nothing. You're just throwing out there and catching them, and you don't give a shit. You're just, and that's great. And I love it. And I want to do that. But, these last 2 days, I learned a ton of stuff. And like I always tell guys, I try to learn something every time I go out, but on the easy days, you just don't learn as much, you don't, because it's just easy. And I like that too. But so, yeah, but I can tell you this, and I'm going to tell everybody this, forward facing sonar is amazing and very, very frustrating at the same time. And it is, it's not the end of bass fishing. The tournament guys that stand on, look at their units for the time that they look at them and for the hours they look at them and for the years that they worked at it, they have a different understanding than the regular guy. And I don't think of myself as just a regular guy, that I have a lot of knowledge in fishing, and it's still, I learn, I'm still like, I got a lot to go on this thing. I got a lot to go on it. I need to spend a lot more time on my screen, and it's going to take me a long time to really become very dialed in on it. But it's a tool that helped me understand fish at this point, understand how they act in different situations. Fish you can catch, what they look like when you can catch them and when you can't catch them, how they react when you're chasing your bait. I learned a lot in the last couple of weeks, and but it's not a freaking gimme.
You know what else is interesting? It tells you, well, you can't see it. It tells you how many fish really relate to staying on the bottom. Like, yeah. I'm a firm believer that most of these fish are very tight to that bottom.
Yeah, and you can't see the bottom. When you're looking at forward facing, I mean, probably with a 34 transducer, it's probably a narrower band, but I would say it's a foot, 8 inches to a foot of the bottom that you can't see. Maybe even more, maybe like up to 18 inches that you can't see. And those fish,
I don't agree with that.
When they're laying on the bottom, you can't see them.
I mean, you clearly see the bottom, but it's very hard to see the fish that are on the bottom. That's the correct way to say that. I mean,
right.
You see the bottom. You see the bottom, like there's the bottom. But what is hard to do
there's a fuzzy area on the bottom.
Yeah, well, for me, I can see the bottom just fine. But for me,
if you can see the bottom, then you would see the fish.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
For me, it is difficult to pick bottom hugging fish, especially if it's a hard bottom. If it's a soft bottom, they're a little easier to pick, but it ain't easy. If it's a hard bottom.
So you're telling me, and I don't agree with this. You're telling me,
telling you my opinion.
Yeah, you're seeing a hard bottom.
Oh, a hard bottom?
No, you're seeing a bottom.
Yeah.
You're seeing a band. You're seeing a band. And this may be the bottom that you can see, but that band is so messed up there that's 8 to 10 to 12 inches. And those fish can get in there, and it's all in that, in that stuff coming up like that.
When you can see it is when you throw a jig out or an Ed rig or whatever, hop it off the bottom.
Yeah.
And you'll see it come out of it.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. I don't know.
Exactly. There's a definite cushion down there that those fish can get into. And Greg was telling me that the speed in which you turn your transducer right and left sometimes you can pick them out quicker because it's acting differently. If you go real slow, it reads it different. If you go real fast, you can kind of pick them out of that stuff. And that is very freaking difficult.
Oh yeah. When they're hugging bottom,
it's freaking difficult.
It ain't for the faint of heart.
It isn't.
And I'll tell you another thing. Current in shallow water and a hard bottom,
Yeah.
really hard to see the fish. Now, if you're in an area where one of them happens to rise up a little bit, you got them. But,
Exactly.
and I think actually it's easier to see fish that are hugging the bottom on a soft bottom, because other than a stick or a turtle or something on the bottom that's harder than the soft bottom, they're the only good bright return you're going to get. And if they're a little bigger, they have that little different shape to them. They're kind of round. But other than that, bottom dwelling fish are hard to see and take a lot of concentration and a lot of time.
What was really cool was we pulled up on this one flat and we got real closest to the bank that we did all day long. And you could see these fish coming straight at us, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at them. Greg's like, they're carp. And I'm like, how do you know you're carp? He says, look at the tail. You can see the tails. Actually, they're a big carp. You can see the tail moving side to side. Once they come up off the bottom a little bit, you saw this big tail and this big giant carp coming by. And I was like, damn. And then you looked out there where in the shallow water out in front, and you could see where the puff on the bottom was, where they took off, It
was interesting. One of the things I did this summer,
it was cool,
was I went red fishing for big, like 40 and 50 pound bull reds. And the captain had Mega Live mounted on the transom of his boat, custom bracket he built. And it shot under the bottom of the boat and out to the front. And it was set at, like, we're in deep water, so it was set like 150 feet or 130 feet, something way out there. And we would mark them on side scan, like running like 25 miles an hour, looking 300 feet out. We'd mark a big freaking skull, spin the boat, and he was so good at lining right up on that skull. And, you're looking at your screen of live, Mega Live, and you see these things coming at you. Well, they're so big, they look like a fish. The return, it doesn't look like a line, or it's like a fish coming at you. And, it was able to get you got one shot. You got one cast in 60 feet of water. You got one cast, because then they're gone. And, that thing was able to, like, okay, here's the transducer. Here it comes. You can see the distance. Cast now, 4 ounce jig. Boom. So, to see that big fish, it was so cool. Staring at that screen for bass all the time.
Yeah. I mean, the other piece of electronics that we had was a 360 on today. And, that probably helped as much with pointing out fish and saying, okay, there's your bait. And so there should be some fish over there. Side imaging is another thing, that you can pick and find out all this information. You don't necessarily have to have the forward facing. The forward facing is nice and handy, and it's really something special. But side imaging, 360, down imaging, when you get over top of them, you can down image this stuff. There's a lot of stuff that you can use, technology you can use to find the fish and really work around them, and try to get them to bite.
Well, yeah, that 360. What I always liked about the 360 is, as long as you've seen cover, it probably gives you the confidence that something's there.
Sure.
And
you're going to put a couple casts on it.
Yeah. And that's a great technology. I love that technology.
It's also really good in shallow water.
Right.
It's really good in shallow water. It's really clear, crisp images. But, and like you said, it gives you the confidence. Hey, that's a stick. And once you look at it long enough, you can figure out the size of the, because when you first start using it, like a piece of wood about this big looks like a giant sequoia laying on the bottom of the river.
Yeah.
Takes you a while to figure out, why can't I hit that with my lure? Well, it's this big,
Yeah.
And it's 60 feet out there and you're trying to hit it with a cast. But once you get that all dialed in, that is a invaluable tool for giving you the confidence to make several presentations on that piece of cover. You know, think of it this way. You're on a lake, you're struggling, you're fishing boat docks, and you're trolling from dock to dock because there's a bunch of docks, and you got your 360 on and you see a nice big rock casting a nice big shadow so you know it's tall off to your left. Well, listen, hard cover. Boom, 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 boom. You might get dialed into a whole secondary pattern or a primary pattern, and what you're doing is a secondary pattern. So that 360 is a great tool. It really is.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of technology out there that you can use to kind of help you out. But I guess the point of the show tonight was, listen, although the calendar and the time clock might say what it's supposed to be doing, that, it's not there, it can be not there yet, and it can change really quickly so George and I, it's funny because George and I always say when we go fishing, we always bring bad weather and winds and horrible stuff.
Not today.
And, and we're like, ah, man, it's going to be, how horrible it is. We can't fish right. And, but the good weather that we had these last 2 trips out for myself and today with George, it was too good. Does that make sense, Nick?
It does make sense.
Yeah, it was too nice. It was too good. We needed cold, we needed an urgency for those fish to ball up again and feed heavy on those balls of shad. We found the balls of shad. We found the bass around the balls of shad, but they did not want to bite because of the weather that we had today. And we had to coerce them and slow down and coerce them and change our mindset and say that these fish are going to be very difficult. And then we were able to fish at many, many fish and catch the ones that we caught.
Well, that's a great point you bring up, though, because your mind tells you when you're going on a fishing trip, I don't care where you go.
Yeah.
Like when I'm going up to New York and I'm like, I'm going to go up there and catch one of jerkbait.
Yeah.
Then you get up there and you find out the jerkbait bite ain't working.
Yeah.
It's hard on your mind.
Oh, yeah.
Because you knew what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And in all reality, it's a fish's world.
It is.
We
It's a
gotta
fish's
adjust to
world,
it.
and we have to adjust to it. You're exactly right.
Well, the other thing, Nick, is when you get these tough situations like this, which, not a bad thing really from your growth as an angler. But when you get these tough situations like this, it really makes you like expand your horizon a little bit. It makes you, your tackle box gets bigger. You need to get, again, a lot of this stuff is stuff that, like for me, I only use it when it's real tough. So I better be able to lay access to it and be prepared to adjust to it. Yeah. Generally, you don't have this, but when you do, you better be able to adapt. And some of these techniques that we've been talking about tonight, that's how we adapt. 3 scenarios, right?
Yeah.
Go big, finesse them to death, get up on the bank and run it to pieces. I guess the 4th scenario is go home.
Well, the 4th scenario is doing what we did today, and that's, forward facing these fish, selective targets and learning those targets and throwing at them, and being good at it. Because Greg showed us that just on the cast, man, how hard it is to hit. He's out. Okay, throw 50 feet out, and you throw, and you're like 40 feet. You're done. It's over. It's over.
And then you're reeling like hell to try to get.
Yeah, it's over. It's so important to learn your casting and learn your boat with your sonar on it, the way it shoots out of your boat. You know what I'm saying? And it was just amazing, man. It was absolutely staggering good, and it was pretty cool.
One of the first things that I did when I became an advocate of forward-facing sonar was I remember I went into a creek and it was a little deeper. It was a little clearer, and my screen looked a little better. And there was a bridge going across the creek. And I got downstream because I was in a creek feeding into a river. I got downstream of this bridge, and I got it on my screen, and I kind of backed up and went forward until it was about 60 feet away. And I put my freaking power poles down. Now nothing's moving. And then I stood there and I cast that bridge. And I cast and I cast, and I could not see my freaking bait to save my life. And then finally I saw the bait, and I realized that, with my Garmin mount, my transducer's kind of cocked like this. And the way it was mounted on the shaft of my trolling motor, I had to cast like 10 feet to the right of my trolling motor head. Now I since have remedied that situation by loosening it up and straightening it out a little bit. But that's what Mike means by getting to know that. And one of the best ways to do that is just that.
Honestly,
pull up on a bridge.
That's what you should do.
And
honestly.
if it's shallow enough, lock your freaking boat down with your poles.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
you can't spot lock because you need to be able to move your trolling motor. Lock your boat down on a bridge 60 feet away. See where it says 60? I see something that looks like that bridge piling right there. Now we have a couple constants at play.
That's actually hilarious because how many times did you cast thinking, where the hell's my
Where's
bait?
my freaking bait?
This shit don't work.
I mean, I'm casting and I'm beaming back and forth like this. And then all of a sudden, there it is. Hey, Mike, look at this thing, man. That's my bait.
Yeah.
I can see my worm. I can see my drop shot weight underneath it.
So I kind of looked at it today, like when I was watching Greg, I was like, okay, he's the NBA freaking Seth Curry, dropping the 3 points in. Because honest to God, I'm not kidding you guys. When he saw a fish, he made the perfect cast every freaking time. And not only that, he would call it. And he would throw exactly where he needed to throw to get the bait to start his retrieve. And then from there to there, we can't even talk about that because it's an out of body experience, presenting that bait the way it needs to be presented to that fish to catch that fish. Do you get that?
Oh, I know. I've seen it. It's almost like a quarterback that's throwing the ball right where it needs to be.
Yeah.
So that person
every time.
I
always say 3-pointers, man. It's like this guy was throwing these 3-pointers and he was knocking them all down all day long.
That takes, and you said it earlier,
time.
It takes time on the water. You
Chucking
can't just go out there and do that.
No, and his little flick cast that he had and the way he knew how to start it up right at a certain time to bring it at a certain level. It just opened my mind up to this is not a freaking easy thing. And we as anglers shouldn't be pissed off at these bass guys fishing this thing on the water because it's not easy.
Did it blow your mind?
Not easy.
I don't know if you've seen this before, but did it blow your mind if you did make a bad cast, which it happens?
Yeah.
But then you go to reel in and your lure goes straight up instead of coming towards you.
That's crazy, man.
That's pretty weird.
It is pretty weird.
It's absolutely crazy. And that's, and he talked to us about holding the rod a certain way and jerking the rod a certain way to make the bait do the certain thing. And if you hold it this way, you see how it goes straight up and down. If you hold it this way, it does this. And freaky, man. It's freaky. All right. What else you got, George?
Well, as far as the tough day scenario, I think we covered it really well. And I really hope that the gist of the conversation got through. And I think it did because I saw some of the comments on here.
Yeah.
We have a long period of fall/winter left to get out there and perfect these techniques. Make sure you get fishing. Don't pass up too many days. Make sure you get out there and take advantage of this bite. Try some of these try some of these techniques that we're talking about.
You could be like Keith Carey, where he's from Iowa, man. His stuff's he's starting to really wind it down.
Oh boy. Well, I just saw Scott Nemesek on there,
Yeah, Scott.
and he's down there on Table Rock.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Scott Nemesek, when I get older, I want to be just like him. I mean, that guy lives the life.
Hey, George, got to ask you something, though. That first cast, what bait?
First cast when?
Today when you caught that fish.
So I was throwing, I actually threw 3 different glide baits. The first cast I made was with a 6 cents flow glider.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like my widest glide that I throw. I mean, that bad boy will get it. I mean, it can get out here literally, literally like from center line, literally like this.
It's subtle,
like
it's
this.
Real subtle,
and you
glide.
can feel it.
It's a real subtle
You can
glide.
feel it you can feel it turn on the rod.
Yeah,
it's got that like plastic tail on it. And then the other one I threw a lot today was the Chad Shad from Spro, which is probably my favorite glide. Well, maybe tied for first. And it has a really wide glide to it, but it has a different.
It has a hard kick.
Yeah, it like, doom, doom.
Yeah, you feel it. Dunk,
And then And then the third one I threw today is kind of like my all-time. Like, I put it up against anything made. And it's called the River to Sea S-Waver. But it's much tighter. It's whole. If you look at it from the aerial and you retrieve it normal, like this would be the S-Waver. And then the 6 cents and the KGB are like that. The Chad Shad, the Chad Shad, Spro Chad Shad. They're wider. Threw them all on the same rod. And then, of course, one of my just like addictive favorites is the mag draft. And that's just a big old mare. It just so that was fun. That was my first fish of the day. First cast, first fish on the flow glider. And love it.
It was a great day. It was a long day. We started early, and we drove down last night, had a nice dinner with Greg, and then started early, and then had to drive all the way back to Lancaster, and didn't want to leave, but we had to leave to come back to Lancaster and do our show tonight. So, it's not that bad. 2 hours and 13 minutes, which was a lot faster than I thought it would be. 2 hours and 9 minutes, actually. 9 minutes, I think it was. All right.
Only because you didn't get caught.
All right, Big Jake. What else you got? Anything else?
No, I was looking for a couple good hand grenades to drop on you guys this week, but it's just so repetitive. Yeah. There's just no crazy shit going on.
No good stuff going on. I can't believe it.
Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy.
He didn't dive deep into
it. It was all kind of the same thing. I mean, this whole Idaho, Colorado River, walleyes and smallmouth are the devil. This whole thing is just getting out of control. I mean, out of control. And the amount of money that the Biden administration has allocated to the restoration of salmon. Now, listen, I'm all for it. I mean, I'm all for restoring habitat that dams have destroyed. But I don't think the smallmouth and the walleye are the problem, people. I mean, you got a big, gargantuan concrete dam blocking the river, and I'm just going to say that might have something to do with it more than a smallmouth eating a little baby salmon. But, what do I know?
Yeah.
That's what I'm following.
Robert Bretz, thank you so much for your comments tonight. We always enjoy them. Mark, thank you so much, pal. Michael Bradley, how are you doing? And John Snook, I appreciate you, bro, so much. And everybody else here tonight, we appreciate you very, very, very much, and enjoy talking with you here on Tackle Shop Live. Until next time, we will see you at the next Tackle Shop Live.
Hopeless lover, hopeless lover. I met you on a sunny day. Right there, you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? The next day, you called me up. You told me I'm your little buttercup. You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make